Okay, Evans family, this is my fourth and final ancestry video before our reunion in 10 days. So I'm looking forward to seeing all you there, but I want to get this one out before I go so you have a chance to look at it. And last time what we did is we talked about how all the Evans came early to America, the Evans kin. And today we're going to talk about one of the Evans who came later. We're going to do 5 more highlighted people, but this time we're going to focus on the England side or the European side of our history prior to them coming to America. And so I think you'll like it, and it'll provide topic for conversation. So in the last video we talked about the United States and all of the Evans clan who made it to the United States before it became a country. So I want you to think about that for a minute. How did so many of our folks make it here at a time when very, very few people were coming? You had to know someone or be able to pay to get here. What I want to do is look at our history in England before people came to the United States. And so first of all, here's a map of what's normally called the British Isles. The British Isles is in 5 parts. Ireland is an independent country. It's here in green. Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England all make up what is called the United Kingdom. But the largest portion of that is England itself. And so where do our ancestors come from? By and large, we're in England. If you want to know where your family heritage comes from, where your DNA is from, why your heart beats the way it does, it came from England. 90 or 95% of the ancestors in our tree came from England. Okay, so let's go back as far as we can in that process. So I'm going to share 5 people, and I'm going to go pretty quickly. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to go with William Wesley. And how far back in the family tree can I go? I can go from William Wesley in 1888 all the way back through a whole bunch of Evans, and then back to a family called the Mallets. We're going to go with the Mallets all the way back. So I found a history of the Mallet family that I was able to connect in with our family. And so we're going back to, here is number 6 on my list. William Mallet, the sire de Graville, the companion of William the Conqueror. So who is William the Conqueror? He is the king who was from France, who came over the Anglo-Saxons and conquered England. And he did this in 1070, and William Mallet was one of his companions. So you don't need to know all the details about the Mallets. Here's the things you need to know. They fought with William the Conqueror. They went on crusades with Richard the Lionhearted. And what I think is the most important, they were also one of the 23 landowners, lords, barons, who signed the Magna Carta, which was the greatest restriction of a king. It said that a king does not have absolute authority, but he is under the rule of law. Basically what happened is the king relied on these guys to be his army, and they said, we're not going to be your army unless you agree to oversight and you agree to law, and you put it in writing, and it's auditable. And so that's what became the basis for our Constitution. The British method of government, which we then further refined, is the single biggest document. One of the Mallets signed that document. So the second one that I want to point out, not only did in England was that happening, but it was also happening in other countries. And we do have a quirky person in our family tree. We have almost no people outside of England, but we do have one, and his name is Erik Larson. Erik Larson, Spar af Rosvik. So here's his picture. You can see his era, 1550. what was so interesting here is if you go search Wikipedia, you're going to find that Erik Larson is called the father of Swedish constitutional law. So, just like the Ballots were signers of the Magna Carta, which limited the king and said the king was under the rule of law, Erik was doing that same thing in Sweden, and it cost him his life. He was killed for that belief. Sir William Parr. Picture of Sir William Parr here. We'll blow it up a little bit so you can see. There's Sir William Parr, uncle to Catherine Parr, who became one of the queens under Henry VIII. So if you go out and just look up Sir William Parr and Google it, you can find an article like this. And you can find out that Sir William Parr basically spent his entire life with the royal family and with cardinals and with dukes and duchesses. He was not born into royalty, but he was made a knight by King Henry VIII on Christmas Day in 1513, and then he was made a baron. And so you can see our family does have connections with Great Britain and the royal family. So what I want to do now is I want to talk a little bit about royalty in England, because it's going to bear on our family. We don't have any kings in our family that I can tell. There are 5 categories of royalty. Peerage is what they call it in England. And so the top rank underneath a king, of course, is duke. So we don't have any dukes in our family that I can tell. The next title beneath that is marquess. And we do have a marquess in our family from right around 1500. The next group below that are earls. Do we have any earls in our family? Well, we have the one who was already a marquess, and we have 3 others. So we have a total of 4 earls, including one that has 2 titles. The next title down is viscount. But viscount normally goes by the title of lord. They don't use viscount, they use lord. Do we have any lords? Well, sure. We've got 16 of them. And then lords are married to ladies. Do we have any ladies in the family? Well, we've got 61 ladies in the family. But then we have the people who are just working class people who are not royalty, but who did something that the king decided was worthy of honor. So he knighted them. He gave them the title. And those knights are married to ladies. So some of those ladies are not spouses of lords, they're spouses of knights. Knights go by the title sir. So do we have any sirs in the family? Heck yeah, we got 75 of them. So somewhere in this 2,000 people in England, we have a number of something like, if you count the 61 ladies, we have something like 150 that have titles that have been bestowed upon them. They're either peers, nobility, or they are have been honored by the king. So what I want you to see is that that's how the Evins clan made it to America so soon. We have all along been part of the fabric of God and country. We have been part of the upper class, either the working class, who are supportive of their king, or part of the military and noble class who were part of the infrastructure who supported that king. So we're going to go back to Sir William Parr, and we're going to look at his daughter. He had a daughter named Frances. Frances married what is perhaps the most significant person in our family tree in England. This is Reverend John Fox. So let's get a picture of him here that we can pull up. This is the Reverend John Fox. So John Fox is the author of a book that became renamed, was the name he gave it. It became Fox's Book of Martyrs. So what was Fox's Book of Martyrs? So during the reign of King Henry VIII, England broke away from the Roman Catholic Church. It did it for not particularly valid Christian reasons. It did it because King Henry wanted to be able to marry whoever he wanted to marry, and he needed justification for it. But along the course of events, England became more and more aware of the abuses of the Catholic Church, became more aware of the Reformation. So what had just happened was the printing press had come. So as people began to figure out that indulgences weren't in the Bible, that purgatory wasn't in the Bible, that all of these things that they had been taught were not biblical, and then they realized that the Catholic Church was suppressing it. His book came out similar time as the King James Bible. So the King James Bible and Fox's Book of Martyrs are what drove the Protestant Revolution in England. Okay, so enough highfalutin stuff. Now I want to go to another very much simpler story. Grandma and Grandpa, William Wesley, Mary Elizabeth Hayden. So we know that many of their ancestors came to this country early, and then they filtered over many years. The latest arriving one was this one right here. This is Grandma's father and grandfather, Joshua and James. Okay, so all these other people in this tree around, they've all been in the United States for a long time. James Hayden, I had heard when I was growing up that James was born somewhere near London and near London Bridge. And I've discovered that's not quite true, but I don't think Grandma knew a lot of English geography at the time. So what actually happened is Joshua Hayden came to America on a ship. And he brought his young son with him. So his son at 1865, born in 1865. So let's go look at Joshua Hayden. Joshua Hayden was a working man. Joshua Hayden was a blacksmith. And he wanted to come to America. And he had a big family. So he brought his family of 9 with him and came to America. And he wound up in Junction City, Kansas. So how, pray tell? So you see the map here. This is the county where great-grandpa was born, Mary Hayden's dad. And so it's a long way from London, which is down here. But he came to America, and I came across in Ancestry the story of how he got here. And I think this is a fitting counter to all of the family history of all of the people who came from money. And this is the guy who got here by hard work. So let's read the story of Joshua Hayden. In the 17th of March, 1870, he set sail for America on the ship the City of Brooklyn. And amazingly, it only took 9 days to get here. He went to Chicago for a week, and then he proceeded on to Junction City, Kansas. Why Junction City? Because that was the end of the rail line. So he got on the train and said, let's go as far as we can go. And he went there, and he got to Junction City, Kansas, and he said, this is where we're going to set up shop. And 9 years later, he got his citizenship papers in Clay County, Kansas. And so this shows the people who were with him on the boat. So it's Joshua and sons Henry, Joshua, Leonard, William, Levi, Martha, and young James. And so when he arrived, he set up shop with what is missing from the passenger list is Prudence, which is his wife. So we're not exactly sure what happened there. But look at what happens here. He set up shop as a blacksmith, along with his son as a blacksmith, another son as a blacksmith, a domestic servant, and Joshua, another blacksmith. So 1, 2, 3, 4 blacksmiths. So, and he came in steerage, which is the lowest cost of getting across, because he had a big family that he was bringing with him. And so they're sitting in the bottom of the ship, just can't wait to get to America, move from New York to Chicago and say, let the train take us. And that's how Mary Hayden wound up being born in Kansas. So my summary of the whole thing, our family heritage is from the actual English part, the England part of the United Kingdom. And in that England part, we represent largely those people who were the God and country supporters of that country and who have become the God and country supporters of this country. And beyond that, we were into hard work and the rule of law. We weren't pirates. We weren't gamblers. We were the people who were determined to make a better life and follow the Puritan work ethic and come to this country and make a better life. And I think we've done that. Okay, so I'm going to bring all of these. I'm going to bring a laptop, and I'll have all of these videos available when we meet for the reunion. So you'll be able to look at any of them. We'll be able to talk about them. I can show you Ancestry. We can look up anything you like. I can give people access so that you can actually browse Ancestry on your own, the tree that I put together. I'm looking forward to seeing you all. See you soon.